What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Second Avenue Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Aris.
I'm your other host, Elijah Venencia. If you're watching on YouTube, you see this Boston green on my head. You know, the Red Sox, a team who's won something since the time I've been out of kindergarten. So I just had to rep a real Boston team. But I mean, with that being said, let's get into some NBA playoffs talk. Let's get some predictions out there. Obviously, our Heat and Celtics are playing. If
Yet
you're a new listener,
again,
I'm a Heat. Yeah, I'm a Heat fan. He's a Celtics fan. And game one happened today. We're recording on Sunday at 4. So Jimmy's out. It happens. I don't think we're gonna be able to rally off this time, but um we've won a championship, in my memory. So I mean Celtics, I kind of remember that, but I was also still like peeing the bed and shit. So
you were not till high school, so I don't want to hear it. But
yeah.
nah, Celtics won it in my memory. I remember sitting there watching that win in the
Mm,
'08. I was
yeah.
10, so it's like okay.
Unk vibes,
Um, yeah, Unk vibes, I remember. But no, yeah, we'll see. It's been forever, obviously. There were some bad years, but then there's been a lot of good years, but never good enough to get that
Bad.
championship. Yeah, there was bad
Like
years.
quote unquote bad, like fighting for the eighth seed.
Yeah.
I
The
feel
Avery
like I
Bradley,
feel like
Courtney
we
Lee era.
yeah, we're both blessed to have teams that have never really truly been like Charlotte Hornets,
No,
Charlotte
no, no.
Bobcats peeping in the background right there. That's what's calling my name. The
Yeah.
Bulls as well, the Nets. So I mean, we've been blessed, but we'll see what happens. I mean, is that your prediction? The Celtics are taking the championship this year?
It is. And I don't know who's going to come out the West. I think there's so many good teams in the West. Like, I think it's going to be a dogfight. I got a couple squads I like. I obviously really like both the Thunder and the Timberwolves, but they're young. Is that youth going to kind of
Uh,
be a problem in the playoffs? I don't know. The Clippers obviously got some vets. We'll see. The Mavericks, I think, are sneaky nice. And obviously the Nuggets. Like, I think any of those five could make it to the finals and be a
this
tough
West,
matchup.
yeah, this West maybe like the best it's been in our lifetimes. Like it's scary over there.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, I got the Nuggets coming out, but I think the Timberwolves are going to meet them in the conference finals, though. Anthony Edwards has that dog in him.
I mean, he is
I
just
mean, and
him.
that it's not, and it's like he was fucking like willing the Timberwolves last year against the Nuggets to like play compete with them. Nobody was competing with the Nuggets last year, so it's like I think I'd take them over any other team other than the Nuggets. And the Nuggets and Celtics are going to breeze through until they meet each other. So
Yeah. Anthony Edwards just like has that dog in him. He has like all the intangibles that like a superstar has to have. Like he just got the confidence, he's got aura, and he's just a dog on the court too. Like he is doing everything he can do. It's crazy watching him grow into like
him
a
chirping Katie.
star. That was beautiful. I loved it. I'm just ready for more playoff basketball. So um, I think we got a good one
Yeah,
on our hands
I
this
yeah,
year.
I just want to go on record too, saying I'm not hopping on the Anthony Edwards bandwagon. He's been my fantasy team star, been my team name for the past few years. So
There we go.
uh, I've been been an Edwards guy. I'm not going to say the name on air, but if
The
you're a
real
close
ones
friend,
know.
you can. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. My guy that I'll put in that is Shea. I've been the day Shea got drafted, I was like, he just had drip with his draft outfit. And I just saw his highlights and I was like, oh yeah, he's one of the ones. I was like, I'm rocking with Shea. Even on the Clippers, I was like, Shea is a dog. And so now I love seeing him just, maybe get
and
MVP. We'll see.
NBA Twitter has kind of made me dislike Shea a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, like NBA Twitter is a scary. Twitter is a scary place, or X now, formerly known as Twitter. But um, it's like he's so young, all this,
Yeah.
and then it's like like the X or reality versus, and it's Tatum, and the other one's 2 months younger than Tatum.
Yeah.
Bum, fucking.
Yeah, they love to hate on Tatum. Uh, comes with the territory. It is what it is. So we'll see. Gonna be a good playoffs. I'm ready. So, one last thing before we get on the topic here, we got to give a thank you and an apology. First off, thank you to my boy Wavy Dan for letting Second Half Pod be present in his 27 Fest. It happened on Saturday, so if you missed it, you missed out. But his performances from I Love McConan, Steve G, as well as Shout out to Early Registration 3 from Big Ass Kids. All those artists popped out, had performances. It was a good time. It was cool. So shout out to Wavy Dan, killing the game. Trended all day, number 2 on Spatial on the app where it was hosted. So big moves from him. You love to see it. But the apology, uh, apologies for missing last week's episode. We hadn't missed in a minute, so it was kind of like due, but
Yeah.
we try not to miss. So apologies for that. But we're back this week, and we got to
Yeah. I
come through with a
mean,
banger always.
yeah, let's give a shout out to our cousin Jenna and our new cousin Nolan, on the
Yeah,
engagement. This is a family oriented podcast. So of course, if we have their engagement party, we're gonna have to miss.
we're gonna have to miss. I won't
So
comment on UFC 300 also being that night, but
yeah.
that if you fact check that, you might see that as well. I don't know, but
Yeah.
anyway, let's get into the topic of today's episode. Album of the month. We didn't do an album of the month in March, so it's been a minute. But album of the month, April 2024, Acid Rap, Chance the Rapper, turning 11 this year. Crazy, such an influential album in my life and a lot of people's lives. From not sounding old head, but my era a little bit more so than your era. I feel like you kind of walked the line on maybe if you felt it or didn't feel the impact of it, but amazing project, classic mixtape. Very excited to talk about it today. We
Yeah, it
won't go
feels
track by track. Obviously, that's kind of a lot. We'll just talk about some of the highlights, some of our favorite songs, favorite moments.
it feels kind of wrong having a mixtape as album of the month. We're renaming it project of the month now.
We have
So
to, I guess. No, that's a fair point. I did not even think about that, but it is what it is. It's such a good
it's
body of
okay.
work. I
Yeah,
just feel like it has to be an
it's
album.
yeah, it feels like an album. It doesn't feel like a mixtape.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, just the distinction of like Mr. I used to pass out music. I still pass out music. He was, giving it for the free 99 on all the different DatPiff, SoundCloud, all the different platforms, hooking it up. So coming through with a quality project always though. So yeah, Chance, I mean, kind of needs no introduction, but let's give a little bit of background on where he's at in his career at this time. Obviously, everybody that's a rap fan knows who Chance is today, but in the Astro Rap days, that wasn't exactly the case. He had 10 Day, which was a great mixtape for like his first project. It was cool, it had some good songs, it got him some buzz, but it was really Astro Rap that just got him to the mainstream. Like everybody was hip to Chance at that point that was like a rap fan. Juice was the big one that was like really blowing him up. Obviously, you got Cocoa Butter Kisses. You got a lot of great tracks here. Um, good features on the project. Donald Glover, Action Bronson, Absol, all these people. We'll get into some more of these here, but what a project. Let's let's just get into it. I do you want to talk maybe overall opinions first, and then we can kind of just get into specific songs and specific moments after that.
I feel like with these album of the month, sometimes we have one where it's like your album, my album. I'm gonna give Acid Rap to you. This is definitely one where it's a little young, won't release and stuff like that, and it's still one that I've never. This is not my first full listen, but I mean one of the handful of full times I've listened through it. So I mean, obviously, I know some of the tracks on here, and it is always I like these ones. It's always interesting because I kind of get to experience it as well. So, but I mean, I'll let you make the decision there on that.
Okay. Yeah, let's just talk a little bit overview first. I mean, to me, this is a classic mixtape. Like, this is one of the best from that era. This is what put Chance on the map and showed why he was one of the most like promising stars in rap at that point. He gets clowned a lot today for the big day and for other things, but Chance was one of the most likable people in music for a long time. Like from 2013 to 20, I'll say 18, Chance was like a golden child. Like you just loved Chance. Everybody gravitated to Chance. The industry loved him, and I think the industry as a whole still does love him. But rap Twitter. We talked about NBA Twitter
Yeah,
earlier. Rap Twitter is a different
it's
breed as well, and they have certain feelings about Chance. But to me, when this project came out, I was in high school, early high school. I was like 15, and I mean, this was just from the first time I heard Juice, I was like, "Oh my god, I just got to hear more." Like the energy that Chance brought, he came through with these different flows, crazy wordplay, and he, being from Chicago, we're, not we don't rep Chicago, but we're from Illinois, so
We're from the shy, we're from the
yeah,
south side.
like seeing somebody from, around here that just was like showing so much potential and just so good. I just felt a different kind of connection to Chance. And, I still feel that to this day. Like, even though I may not listen as much as I once did, like every time I go back to a Chance project or a Chance song, I'm just like, man, I just remember so fondly, like the tracks, the memories associated with it. And, that's kind of the whole point of why I wanted to be an album of the month and get into it with you. Cause I know, like you said, you're a little bit younger. You didn't have it in your rotation when it first dropped. So, getting you to go back to it with me, talk about it a little bit, I think it'll be fun. So we had to do it.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into it. What tracks? So why don't you? I mean, I'll let you decide on the tracks here. It's a really enjoyable listen. I will say, like the 50 minutes kind of really flew by the few times I listened to it. So, um, go over some of your highlights here. I have like a specific section I want to highlight, so I'll let you get into a few of yours. And
Okay. Let's kick off here. You got to start off a good ass intro. What a start to the project. Chance, like I said, he came through with those flows and that energy. And this track is no exception to that. It sets the tone for the project. It's such a look at Chance and where he's at. And, you know, it starts even better than it was the last time. And it is like, it's such a step up from 10 Day. 10 Day was cool, but Acid Rap is leaps and bounds better. And he just comes through talking about all these different lines with these different, like, he rhymed so interestingly. Like, but yeah, the first verse he comes through kind of just introspective, but like I feel like there's different levels to it. Like sometimes people are like really talking about like themselves and like what they're thinking, but this is more so just like where he's at. He's just talking about himself a little bit, uh, what 10 Day did to his career, where he's at now. Like the line nightly searches for a bed and I just came off tour with Troy. One of my favorite lines, and it's like it's not that crazy of a line, but it's a very specific reference that I'm gonna love. Nightly searches for a bed. I just came off tour with Troy. Troy was Josh Gambino's character on Community, and Abed and Troy were best friends in the show. So Abed, Troy, great line. Uh, for me as a Community fan, I loved that one, but I didn't really get into Community until years later, so didn't love it as much as I do now. But really appreciate that line. Overall, though, I think it's just a great track. Like the energy, the rhymes. At this point, Chance is doing it as good as anybody. I will say one thing, and I'm curious to get your take on this. How do you feel about the ad libs?
they're interesting. It gives you like this kind of gives you a interesting like if I just was trying to like imagine myself on acid. I've never done acid, but like I feel like because Chance is supposedly on acid while he makes this, and then obviously the cover there as well. But I find them. I don't know, like I don't love them, but I don't hate them either. But I just it kind of I think it goes with it well.
I think it does at some points, and it does not at some points in retrospect. Like in the year 2013, I was like, oh my God, I love it. Like they're so cool.
Uh,
And now I'm like, we'll get into it in a second, but like a track like Paranoia, where it's more of like a deeper type track, and he's hitting the ad
uh,
lib, I'm like, okay, like
yeah.
interesting. Like I do get, the acid rap tie in. I'm sure it was like kind of the vibe you're getting for that ad
uh,
lib, but like interesting. Like I feel like there's just different ways to go about it. I don't know.
uh,
So it's just I feel a little bit differently about it now than I did when this project first dropped. But yeah, I don't think it's like a ruiner for me. But like I watched a first reaction to Acid Rap recently from the OG Bob the Pop Pop on YouTube. Check him out. He's got some good album review reactions. But he did Acid Rap, and he just could not get over the ad libs. And he's like a 45-year-old guy, and I'm like, okay, like I understand it now. In When I
you're
was
almost there.
15, yeah, I'm almost there. No, but when I was 15, I would have been like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, it's It's
Trying to get up
cool.
with them.
It's fun. Yeah.
Uh,
Um, but no, I get it now. So I think if you weren't like there,
I
it's just not as,
it,
enjoyable, I
it
guess.
it really didn't like stick out that much to me, honestly. Like
I don't know. I feel like if you like, it's one of those things like once you are like focused on
you're
it,
not
you just,
listening.
yeah, you just can
Yeah.
only hear it, and it's like, okay,
Next, yeah, next listen, I'm fucked. I'm be like, what
yeah,
the fuck?
Uh,
The
yeah.
fuck is this?
Uh, we'll see. We'll report back on that. But okay, let's get in the next track here. Push a Man slash Paranoia, a great combo track, and used to just be one long track. Now on streaming, we get both parts with there's the 30-second ish silence in it, right? Did you catch that part? Like, were you just like, what's happening?
Yeah, I was like, am I listening to Money and Sex by Ken Carson, Destroy Lonely right now? You're just the long pause there.
Yeah. So I remember like seeing an article or an interview or something, and Chance said, like, if you're on acid, you don't hear silence or something like that. And I was like, huh, okay,
Uh,
interesting. And
I guess
so
I guess we're gonna go pop some tabs
we'd have
to
to.
really yeah.
Chance the Rapper made us do drugs. I mean, it's as simple as that. But I remember when I was at ISU, like my first semester, shout out to the boy Chalky. He had some friends that were, music type people for sure, but they were definitely, into some, they dabbled with the drugs for sure. And I remember they were
The
doing
feds are
acid
gonna
one
hear
night.
this.
I know. And
Your
they were
door
like,
gets kicked in.
but yeah, sorry to name drop there. But anyway, Chalky not do acid for the record. So anyway, they were gonna do acid one night, and I feel like it's one of those like super stereotypical things where they were like, they were planning it, they're planning the trip, and they were like, we got to think of what music we're gonna listen to, what we're gonna eat.
Uh,
Like they were like doing all that, and I was like, oh, there's this Chance song, like there's some silence in it. He says if you're on acid, like you don't hear silence, and they're like, okay, after the play was cool, whatever. So after they do it the next day, I'm like, oh, do you listen to that track? Like, what was it like? Because you said you never acid, me either, obviously. So I was like,
mhm.
curious. And all of them were like, nah, 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 I didn't. It was silence, whatever. And one kid was like, nah, man, like I heard this and that. And I was like,
Chance was
oh
talking to
my,
me. Chance came through a portal.
yeah,
It came
yeah.
out
So
like the
he,
boogeyman.
so he was going crazy, and I was like, okay, so I know you're just lying right now, like,
um, that's like I mean, obviously we don't have any guests this week. We need to get some guests back on. But did everybody just have that phase where their friends were just like planning out trips? Like me specifically in high school. I did not dabble. Psychedelics scare me for sure. Just want to clarify that, put my statement out because I know the feds are already heavy on this one
yep,
here.
yep. Sorry.
But I mean, just at the lunch table, just planning this out. I mean, I'm not going to say any names. Yeah, it's like just some of my high school friends want to maybe go to the UFC or something. Another one maybe tall, ginger, also living in Arizona now currently. I mean, I don't know, just some of those guys. If you know, I guess. But yeah, they maybe every friend group had that phase where you were just around people just planning these trips out. But I always used to be like, want to be like, send them like just great, like the nightmare shit. That's always
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Those are interesting. I mean, there's definitely something like intriguing about it, but I don't know. I don't know if it's for me.
yeah,
Let's talk a little bit more about Push a Man slash Paranoia. It's a great track. I like the first half, but the second half, Paranoia, that is like such a good look at Chance and where he's at in life geographically. Like he has songs where he talks about where he's at in life and his career and mental state, but like being in Chicago, talking about everything going on, growing up, it is a great track. And like I said, we're not from Chicago, but I mean we've been to Chicago many, many
basically
times in
are.
our lives. Yeah, we're basically over there. So
Yeah,
uh
whatever.
we, so like hearing him talk about these things and you know, as close as we are, we live such a different life. And hearing him talk about it firsthand, obviously, and all these different things that he's been exposed to throughout his upbringing, like I don't know. I really connected with it, even though I don't like. I wasn't there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Said it puts you in a good place, or great storytelling, I guess I'll say, throughout there. Not really telling an exact story, but just, I mean, you could feel it. You can feel it.
Yeah.
It's good. That's why I feel like, if I ever try to ask it, maybe this will be the first album I'll play. So
I think it's only right.
we'll do it live on camera if this gets 100 views.
Okay, we gotta set the bar somewhere. Let's get into the next track here. Cocoa Butter Kisses. I mean, this is one of the standouts. Like, if you only know 3 songs from Master Rap, you probably know Cocoa Butter Kisses.
Yeah, I mean, I met Vic Mensa one time, and I almost met him a second time at this is obviously like the most popular one. Um, it's a really good track though. I feel like this one is when somebody's like trying to be cool, they'll like post this like whenever they're broadening their music horizon. This is one of the ones they go to. I'm trying to think of some others in my head right now. Something off because of the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're letting the world know that they are past fucking Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and J. Cole. They're moving
They
on.
yeah, they're really in the underground now. They're in the trenches. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I
it's a
respect
beautiful
it.
song though.
Great track. Yeah. We got a good line here that I just love. The whole couple lines where it used to like orange cassette tapes with Timmy, Tommy, and Chucky, and Chucky Cheese pizzas, Jesus pieces, sing Jesus love me, put Visine in my eyes so my girl will fucking hug me. Great lines. I love that. And I love the orange cassette tapes reference. I think I saw a video on TikTok or Facebook, old head status, but
Uh,
it was a picture of an old cassette, orange cassette, and it was like, who knows what show this is or what movie this is or whatever, and everybody's like Rugrats, right? I'm like Chance, like nobody
uh,
commented the Chance line. I'm like, come on, like what are we doing, guys? Like, uh,
did you comment?
no, I didn't. I should have.
Oh, fraud.
I know, fake fan, but no, I remember the orange cassette tapes. I had that back in the day, so
Fire.
cassette tapes. That's old head.
Yeah.
But yeah, great features here from Vic and Twista, Chicago boys. You love seeing them on this. I was actually watching a couple
Mhm.
videos like of Chance talking about the project, getting into this, and he was talking about him and Vic had these verses ready on a different beat, and that producer was like, "Hey, no, like I'm giving it to somebody else," and they were like, "No, like we're doing this again. Like we're gonna make a better beat. We're gonna get with somebody to make a better beat," and they did, and got the Twista feature, and
Yeah.
here we are. And now it's one of the biggest songs Chance has put out. So what a story.
Speaking of features, I was gonna say we're gonna skip over a few tracks. We're gonna backtrack to them. But what a feature run of Gambino, Action Bronson, and Absol. Like that is my favorite
Insane.
three track run in here. Those are the ones that I'm gonna find myself going back to the most because I admittedly wasn't showing the most respect. But I mean, those were 3 ads. I mean, pretty much right away or right into the song. So very good tracks there. But Gambino kills it for sure. That's gonna be like my biggest highlight of the project.
Yeah, so you'll say favorite song was your favorite song.
Yeah. How ironic.
Yeah. Crazy. But no, I love all those features. Smoke Again is like sneakily one of my favorites, I think, on the whole project. Like Absol, crazy verse. I think everybody on this project basically is guilty of like some lines that like walk the line of like corny and clever so well. Like Action Bronson, no doubt, like Gwen Stefani's group, "Let Me Put My Mouth Where You Potty Boo," like that's that walks the line. Action Bronson, he's got a bunch, but Action Bronson, his verse is just like so descriptive, and that's what he always does well. But you know, hair slipped back, I look like Rick Pitino. I love that line. Like he's just so good at using his words. Like obviously he's a rapper. A lot of these people are, but him specifically, like he makes like the most specific references. I don't know if you guys have seen. There's a page called uh, "Accidentally Bronson," but they take tweets that people have put out and show them as Action Bronson lyrics. Yeah, so we can kind of quickly backtrack to some of those tracks here. Tracks, 4 through 7, Juice, Lost, Everybody's Something, and That's Love, the interlude. So those are great tracks. Juice is obviously one of the big hits that established Chance as the artist we know today. Really got him that mainstream attention at this point. The video for that iconic shot to Austin Vesley, crazy classic for that era. Like that is a true standout for me at that point. I remember Cole Bennett said that was like, one of his guys. Like Austin Vesley was like one of the directors he looked to a lot. So, without Juice, do we have Lyrical Lemonade? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not.
Most likely, but we'll never know.
We will never know. Uh, but yeah, then we talked about all those tracks. Nana, Smoke Again, favorite song. Great tracks there. Um, Smoke Again, yeah, is one of my favorites, but it's not at the level of track 11, my true favorite, Acid Rain. What a song. Were you familiar with this track before this, or was this kind of a
Yeah,
new one?
this is one of the ones like where I have some familiarity. It was in the like songs on Apple Music. Didn't quite make it over onto Spotify yet, but as of I mean a week ago when I started listening to this, it made
Uh-huh.
it over.
I love it. This is, I mean, if you watched our top five favorite songs of all time episode, there was a little bit of a beef because I said this was it in my top five, but I chose a different song because we were talking about it today, and so it is in my top five. Putting that out
So
there,
he
love
lied to
this.
you.
So I lied to you, straight up. But I love this track. This track, I think, is the best track Chance has ever made. Like he just goes for so many minutes, so introspective. He's talking about all these different parts of his life, and it's amazing. Like I don't even want to say too much about it. Like this is one you just got to listen to. Like, but one standout line to me that is just, oh, really? It's a if you know line. Before Chance was Chance the Rapper, he was part of a duo. Did you know that?
I did not.
So
You should push your
Chance's
flashes up with your fucking middle finger while you did
yeah.
that.
So Chance's duo was called
I'll have
Instrumentality. It
you
was
know.
yeah, yeah. It was him and his friend Justin. And the end of his verse where he says, "Mom still think I should go back to school, and Justin still thinks I'm good enough." That, is a cool line as it is, but peel the layer back and you're like, oh wow, that's a great line. So
That has
Mom still
some
think I should go back to school. Back to School Pack was one of the projects they dropped as Instrumentality. Justin was the other person in Instrumentality. And then the other project they released was Good Enough. So they're referencing both of his projects as Instrumentality. It's a good full circle line in a song that's such a good look at himself. So I
has
love
some
that one.
has some tie into prom night as well. I think.
What's
Oh,
the problem night? Are you putting me on?
you said something about Justin and back to school there as well, I believe. And that's
Um,
Chance's best song, by the way.
Prom night is? I think it's
Yeah,
up there. I'm not
yeah, I
mad at
love
that.
prom night. Love prom night.
I'm not mad at that. And then, do you consider Chainsmoker the outro, or do you consider Everything's Good the outro? Like, obviously, technically, it's good
I
ass
think.
outro. It is the outro,
Uh,
but like, Chainsmoker's the
yeah,
last like real song.
yeah. I have like not issue with those like that, but it just the outros chain smoke. Like it's not that's not the outro. It is, but it isn't.
Yeah,
It's
it's
literally
definitely
in the name.
yeah, it's the last song, but I think good ass outro kind of just like ties everything together. Like it's like a
Yeah,
conclusion.
it
Yeah,
like yeah wraps like a bow. Like the wrapping paper is like chain smoker, and then
yeah, it
like the little
is.
bow on top is
Yeah, I love good ass outro though.
no.
It's
It's
probably
enjoyable.
I don't think I'm like bumping good ass outro like by itself, but like when I listen to the full project, I'm just like, ah, oh, it's such a good moment. You get the phone call from his dad. Crazy just to see it all come full circle. Like at this point, like getting help from his parents, and then he's helping his parents, I'm sure, but so many other people in Chicago as well. So it's just a great
it's
moment. You love to see it.
it's like got it's got a lot of like runaway to it. The runaway at the end there, or last call leaving off graduation or the college dropout. Sorry, big fumble there. Cut that. But just storytelling. I would attach.
I didn't hear you said that it cut out.
I would attach that to the back of a track, though. I am infatuated with that. that now whenever there's just a fucking 8 minute monologue
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah, there's something about it that done well, it really hits. And yeah, it's cool here. I like it. So um great project. Any other thoughts about Acid Rap before we move on here?
No, I mean, really good project. I mean, I could see why Chance, had the opportunity that he did to blow up into what he became, following the coloring book. I mean, this is about as good of a stepping stone as you could ask for. So,
Yep. Coloring Book, Acid Rap, neck and neck. I don't know which one I prefer. Really depends on the vibe, depends on the day, but two just like all time essentials to my life. So um love getting to talk about it. And yeah, hopefully, you found something interesting about it, you learned something new about it, new way to look at a song. Or if haven't really
you
shown it
just
much
listen to our
love,
opinions. Yeah.
yeah, maybe you go back to it and look at a different light. So shout out to Chance. Let's see when he comes back. I'm ready for the Chance. I'm pushing the Chance comeback agenda all 2024 after
That's been,
Starline
yeah,
drops.
happening pretty
Yeah.
much for all of the podcast, the
Yeah.
entirety of it. I feel like the
We've been
first couple
ready.
months we were doing this, the highs and lows dropped, and
Yeah.
an album's been coming since. But no, I am ready for the comeback though.
Yep. So obviously, our thoughts on that when it drops. Hopefully, it drops soon. So we'll see. But
Yeah.
let's move on to the news. A lot of news since the last episode. Let's get into the releases from last week and this week, and then we'll get into what likely everybody's here for. All the beef, the Avengers, Infinity War, it's going down. I've never seen the movie, so that might be a bad reference. I don't know, but let's talk about these releases.
You never seen the movie?
Albums. No,
The fuck?
I've only seen Endgame.
I thought you'd seen him. You need to watch. That's like, I wish I could watch all those for the first time. Yeah, but that's besides the point. Let's go.
Okay. Oh, to close, the only Marvel movies I've ever seen are Thor, Love and Thunder, and
Bad.
Endgame. So
Well, you
I should probably
got
go
you got
back.
a great one and a bad one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Last week we got projects from Future and Metro Boomin, Chris Brown. Uh, Beyond that, not too crazy of a week. Then this week, projects from Taylor Swift. Obviously, everybody, if you're not under a rock, you've known that was out. The Alchemist, YNW
Valid.
Melly, Lil Nas X on SoundCloud. I'll just kind of say the singles for the past 2 weeks. We got Jev, Logic, Lucky Day, Georgia Smith, Suicide Boys, Russ, Rick Ross, which we'll get into that, obviously. Your Old Droog with Denzel Curry, Madlib, and Method Man. Midwest with DC the Don, Party Next Door, Jordan Ward, Ken Carson, Dua Lipa. Pretty good, group of people there. Do you want to
I
talk
feel
about any of
like
these projects? Do they really go crazy for you?
not. I got some re-listening to do. Obviously, Metro's got to listen. I've listened to him, but I mean, with that, I feel like album of the month is like the worst time for releases because I'm
Yeah.
locked the fuck in. I'm dialed the fuck in. Um,
Yeah.
so I got a lot of catching up to do. There's a lot of interesting stuff out there. It sounds like so.
Yeah. I love We Still Don't Trust You, the title track. I've been listening to that song all the time. I don't know why. One of my favorites though. So I've only listened to that full project once, but I've listened to a couple songs like a bunch, and that's one of them. Let's let's just talk about everything that's been happening because it's been a minute since we've talked
Well,
about the
last time
beef.
it was J.
Obviously,
Cole dropping a diss. That was the last thing we talked about. And a
yeah.
lot has happened since then.
Yeah. So let's start, I think, with Drake. We get push-ups. We're in the car last Saturday going to our cousin's engagement party, and we get push-ups from Drake. We get the leak, and we're listening to it in the car. Not an ideal first listen. People talking, not ideal audio. And so I really didn't like pick up on a lot of like the lines. Like I didn't
Uh-huh.
realize how good of a track it was until re-listen. I was like, oh, okay. We got Beef Drake here. Like he did his thing. He did what he's always done.
Yeah.
Besides,
Yeah.
I guess the Pusha T, which he did fairly well
He
to
did his
push,
thing
but
there still. Yeah.
yeah, he did to whatever extent he could. But a nuke was dropped, and you can't recover from that. But
That's
he's doing
Kirishima.
his thing here, and yeah, he's got everybody against him now at this point. It seems like you got Rick Ross. obviously Future, Metro Boomin, The Weekend, J. Cole, kind of stuck in the middle now. Kendrick, obviously, Kanye. It's everybody against Drake. It is a 20v1, like he's talking about, and he is holding his own for right now.
Yeah. I mean, just to speak on the J. Cole thing, because I feel like that was the last thing we talked about. Obviously, J. Cole's one of my favorite artists. I mean, we don't, I saw something on Twitter that J. Cole is like portraying this as the fall off. We don't have to portray it as anything because this is the fall off. It's I've had trouble listening to J. Cole for the past like since that happened, like truly. And it becomes even more of a thing when and Metro, really not I'm not team Metro whatsoever here. I could see the points off Kendrick or see why people would want to side with him, but Metro is just kind of just moving like a rat. Um, he featured or so he has J. Cole dissed on the first project. J. Cole comes back on the second project and does a track with him. And then he and whether or not Kanye was with him, or lab together beforehand, before that, like that, he allows J. Cole to be dissed again. Like that
Yeah.
is moving weird, beyond weird.
Yeah, it to me it seems like it had to be calculated on his end. Like that Cole verse, it was not made after
Yeah, I mean, regardless of
he
that, it's
dissed
still on there.
Kendrick. So yeah, I think he knew he was gonna be doing this whole time, and that's interesting to me. Or he saw an opportunity to do it and he did it.
Uh,
Either way, interesting move. And yeah, J. Cole, he's kind of caught in the middle now because he was, I'll say, going at Kendrick very loosely, but he had a couple lines coming at Kendrick, took it back, and because of that, Drake said, that was weak. And now you got Kanye coming at J. Cole. You know,
he's in no man's land. He's in the crossfire
he is
now.
done for. Yeah, it is not looking good
Um,
for Jermaine. He's about to be catching strays from every direction at this point.
yeah, and just to, I mean, what's the line about he's never been he's a track star? That's insane. That,
Yeah,
that's insane. You go back to listen to like a lot of his verses, and it just hurts me personally because I've hyped J. Cole up as the best rapper, the head honcho in all of this. The rap game for the past 3 years, and then he's dropping crazy line. I don't know. But Drake's doing his thing right now.
yeah,
As for yeah, it's like for I feel like Metro's already wrapped up and bodied. I mean, there's not much you can come back from on that, and it's like it's kind of a corny line or whatever, but like also it's less of like shut up and go make some drums. It's more of like you're just a producer. You can't really be in this beef.
yeah,
It's like so. I think that's one guy off the list here. Um, Heavy shots at the weekend. Heavy
yeah.
shots at Future as well. And then I feel like Rick Ross, he's not really giving like the time of day,
Yeah, like
which
Rick is kind of just happy to be there. I feel like,
yeah, Rick,
like as
Rick
much
is
as like there is
he
some tension, I'm sure like he is
he's capitalizing on the
talked about right
opportunity.
now. Yeah,
Yeah. Which respect for that. But Drake is having an onslaught on Kendrick right now. The Taylor made freestyle that was fucking insane. I don't
yeah,
care what your views are on the AI of Tupac and Snoop. That was a good chess move. Like that is funny in rap beef. Not all rap beef. It has to be someone has a kid or I'm gonna kill you. Like this is. I think Drake's playing the beef well so far. That move as well. It gave me a chuckle, and he comes
yeah,
on. It's Kendrick going to come out with a quintuple entendre that I don't understand. Like that was another really good line there. So he's like you said, he's holding his own.
yeah. I think the Taylor made was a good move. It was cool, and he kind of like keeping the pressure on Kendrick. It's cool. I don't, it's such a different track than push-ups. Like push-ups is like a track like you could like listen to. Tailor Made is cool for what it is. Like you're not be bumping Tailor Made, but
Yeah,
uh, very interesting. Uh, Using obviously West Coast legends to kind of bait Kendrick again.
and
Interesting. He
Twitter is
kind of
going insane on this. Like
negatively or
Twitter
positively.
negatively, like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
rap
I
talk
saw this too.
SK. Fucking
Yeah, I don't know. I think you just have to look at it for what it is. Like you can't be like, expecting.
This is so
A
disrespectful to
back to back
Tupac.
or what,
Yeah,
whatever. It's just a,
it's a
I
rap
think it is
beef.
what it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's fine. And he chose them because obviously, Snoop crowned Kendrick, next up on the West Coast, and then he's obviously got a connection to Pac from To Pimp a Butterfly. So, it
um,
makes sense why he did that approach. But even his verse on it was cool for what it was.
but no, like and then another thing, just to kind of close it all off, like Snoop Dogg just he dropped. Did you see the video he posted?
Yeah,
That's not a like Drake stop. That's like, I mean, seems like he's okay with it. And
yeah, he
I
was
saw
kind of neutral.
it's someone commented somewhere that Snoop gave the okay. So I mean, like I Drake's doing a lot of things right now. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see where this goes, but I got a point for the six god right now.
I'll give a point to Drake as well. I saw something on Twitter about people were saying Kendrick's gonna have an album in May, and that's where the response had to come. Do you believe any of that?
That's no Kendrick's not dropping.
We need SK to tweet it again just to make it happen. But
Yeah, it's like it's one of those things where even if you waited till May, that's waiting too long. And I get Drake. Drake did wait the whatever 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but I also understand the strategic move of waiting until that second out. Like
yeah, he knew that was coming, obviously.
that's where it's like Drake's facing everybody. Kendrick he's only got one enemy right now. J. Cole already apologized.
Yeah, I think the difference there is like because Drake is facing so many different people, he can come up with like, you know, 4 bars a person. You're like, oh, that's a whole song. Kendrick's got one person. He's got to come through with a bunch of lines, uh, and probably he's gonna, hopefully come through with something that does shock people, does get people talking in a way that they haven't before. Obviously, Drake himself kind of talked about the young girls thing, and you're like,
Uh,
okay, what's
yeah,
Kendrick
like
gonna say now? Like,
like that's like giving it like you can't really bring that up now. That's like one of those things. What are you gonna say? This like
yeah,
So that's another strategic move there. Um, and yeah, I mean, people like it's just Twitter that I see most of this shit on. It's like Drake's just a social media troll. Like, oh, but whenever it was Meek Mill that he was doing this shit to, everybody loved it. Now
yeah.
it's the boogeyman. Now it's the boogeyman. It's different. Now that it's your favorite rapper. It's
It is different. I don't know. We'll see. Uh, This is the first time, it's been so lopsided, like Drake versus the world. We'll see what happens. I mean, hopefully before next episode, there's something more to come back to talk about, but I think that's gonna do it for this week. I think we could talk about this for forever,
yeah, it's a
but
long episode.
we'll spare you guys a little bit. We'll get into it next week. If anything else new happens, hopefully it does. So we'll keep you guys posted next week. We're the place you want to come to. Here we got to say. Um, Excited to get into it next week, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Um,
Yeah, we'll be here.
we'll be
Who
here. We'll
knows?
be
Who
here either
knows?
way.
Who knows if anybody else is?
But yeah, that's gonna do it for this week's episode. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Go give Ask Rap a listen. Go give all these diss tracks a listen. Let us know how you're feeling in the comments. We'll be back next Monday. Have a great week. Peace.